My name is Anton Hemerijk, and I'm a professor of sociology and political science at the European University Institute in Florence. Essentially, I would say, if you invest in children, that is, if you invest in human capital, that's the best way to save pensions in an aging society. So making sure we all have a good, old age. It is very important to think about the workforce, and especially to think about the next generation's workforce. And that's where the investments have to go if we want to save pensions. I mean, that's the gist of the social investment paradigm. Yeah, well, you talked about barriers. I think there are two barriers. One, it is very complicated. It's doable. That's what many researchers are involved in right now. It's very difficult to really calculate how much to invest in children, in daycare, in active labor market policy, how that impacts on higher levels of employment, and how that allows for a better financing of our health and pension system. I mean, so the chain of causation is very long, and it's very complex, because we're talking about traditional welfare buffers, social protection. We're talking about social promotion in the sense of capacitating services. And it's not either or. In the policy evaluation committee, we try to isolate an intervention, ceteris paribus, and then sort of reason about the returns. But in social investment, it's the interaction effects of particular kind of interventions, buffers, investment in human capital stock, and easing flows across the life course with in relation to the labor market. Those three functions have to be studied together in interaction, and that's that's the first barrier, is to really unveil the chain of causation, and then value that chain of causation also in euro returns in a way. I think it's doable, but it's very difficult. The second barrier is that we've been over 3 decades living in a period where we think of the welfare state as this this immense burden on the competitiveness of our region, the European Union in particular. So these are countries with pretty heavy welfare states, and we kind of fear that the welfare state burden stands in the way of competitiveness. And I think this is sort of like has become an unquestioned assumption of everything in the Western world, whereas if you look at the basic the league of the most competitive nations, the first 5, or within the first 10, there are 5 European countries which are big spending welfare states. So we have to rethink the relation between equity and efficiency, about it's really the quality of social spending today that defines competitiveness. And once we have established that link, we can be actually proud to have a well-functioning welfare state, which then is a social investment oriented welfare state. But we have to rethink 30 years of ideology that somewhere along the lines there is this big trade-off between equity and efficiency, and there is no synergy effect between equity and efficiency. And my own research kind of reveals that there are many synergies, many more synergies than deficiencies in a way.